We gather here for the sod turning ceremony, symbolizing the commencement of the construction of the new Brickdam police station, a project born out of the ashes of the unfortunate fire that engulfed our century-old institution on the fateful day of Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. The fire, a tragic incident that affected not only the physical structure, but also the heart of our country's security, which led to the destruction of over 80% of the historic Brickdam police station. We cannot forget the efforts of the Guyana Fire Service in controlling the blaze, nor can we overlook the sacrifices made by our brave men and women in uniform. In collaboration, through the Ministry of Home Affairs, took swift action to ensure the continuity of police. Temporary arrangements were made at the St. Stanislaus College and other locations on the single largest infrastructural project. This endeavor reflects our commitment to restoring and enhancing the safety and security of a modern 12-story complex, standing tall at the of US $28,140,000, awarded to the reputable R. Basu and Sons Construction Company in partnership with company Guyana Inc. The project timeline spans 30 months, during which this state-of-the-art facility will take shape. Upon completion, it will house the operations of the divisional headquarters for essential departments such as traffic, finance, the impact-based. Features of this 12-story complex will be a structure that systems will be in place, inclusive of detection, CCTV monitoring, and access to control, enhanced security measures. A robust telephone and data network will facilitate seamless that's unique to the landscape. To ensure accessibility, tree to rise from the ashes like a phoenix, stronger and country. With those remarks, I will be chairing today's proceedings, and I will do my best to let the program flow as smoothly as welcoming him to the podium.
Thank you, PS. But I think Mr. PS Ali deserves a round with all the protocols observed. For continuing to repose confidence in Basu Construction. And we'd like to assure the President by Mr. Liu, the country's manager, before the contract's completion date and without compromising. Having held discussions already with the top brass of this division and the Home Affairs team regarding logistics, the site organization, please know, Mr. President, that we will not during construction. Having worked successfully with this ministry before, but to build to the specifications and in keeping with our motto, we build. As you can see, our geotechnical and survey teams are already mobilized and they are on site presently. Let the action and fun begin. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Basu. This is a great demonstration of the government's commitment to enhancing for the country. And our next speaker is the man in charge of the Guyana Police Force. He leads them and he will tell you a lot about this strategic direction and the strategic pillars of the Guyana Police Force today. Please join me in welcoming the
Good morning. Thank you, PS, Uniform Chairperson, His Excellency the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali, Minister of Home Affairs, Minister Robeson Ben, NSA, Heads of Joint Services, Head Kanu, Joint Services, special invited guests, members of the morning all. We're looking to Your Excellency for this initiative. Give the Excellency a round of applause. I want to thank the Minister for his foresight, so give him a round of applause too. The Guyana Police Force is currently administered by a strategic plan. And one of the strategic plans speaks to infrastructure. Over the past 2-3 years, from 2020 to now, we've seen a more conducive environment where members of the public and members of the police force can interact. Very important, dealing with issues of domestic violence, we deal with issues of ID parade, justice, conduciveness, and efficiency coming out of the Guyana Police Force. And so this coincides with the transformation we are trying to achieve, moving from a Guyana Police Force to a Guyana Police Service. You cannot do this transition without the right infrastructure in place. And I'm happy to be the Commissioner of Police during this period when we're going to create history. We're going to have a 12-story building. But I'm going to come back to that building in a meanwhile. Suffice to say, as we develop our infrastructure to aid the efficiencies of the Guyana Police Force and to bridge the gap in members of the public, similarly, coming out of our streets, we have a robust maintenance policy that is being adhered to. And with the 12-story building, it is likely at the engineering level so that we can be self-sufficient in our spheres. And so the infrastructures is good, but maintenance, importantly, we will have to do some adjustments in terms of engineers within the Guyana Police Force's sphere. This is the best part of it. This concept where we're going to put 12-story building in the compound of headquarters. That were located at Evelary and other areas may very well find themselves at headquarters, and that is to ease the burden of persons traveling till to headquarters to be served. And we are a strategic location of Brickdam. In addition to just the police components, we're going to see a symposium we had. And we've seen conflict in Guyana from the Guyana Police Force to Guyana Police Service. And so we plan, so everything we're doing is in a structured way that is expected. The days of doing ad hoc and making ad hoc decisions, all we have to do after the structures are in place is to administer that. And so I'm to be the Commissioner of Police today. And I want to close off by saying much is given, much is expected. Police behavior. For the new year, I've outlined exactly the status on board. We're going to see a complete change in the police behavior and attitude. So I think the public, there's an exciting year for you. Expect improved delivery service to members of the public. And once again, thank you, and thank you, Your Excellency. God bless you all.
Thank you, Commissioner. You heard it. Improved efficiency, improved service. That is what we are aiming for. And our next speaker is the policymaker of the ministry, and he will guide you through some of our strategic policy initiatives. Please help me welcome in Minister Robeson Ben.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Excellency. Our Commissioner of Police, head of our armed forces, our National Security Advisor, Mr. Godvaya, Brigadier Omar Khan, our head of the Army, Mr. Nicklon Elliott, the head of our prison service, Mr. Gregory Wickham, the head of our fire service, Mr. James Singh, the head of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, all the deputy commissioners, commanders, and all the leaders in our security establishment. Of course, I have to recommend Mr. Basu and the head of the Qingjang construction group who are in partnership with Basu for the construction of this new edifice. Officers all, ladies and gentlemen, and all of those who would have supported the efforts in responding to what was, for me, the dramatic and egregious loss of the old Brickdam police station. And of course, remember, we were in the Promenade Gardens and the president was making a speech. And at first we thought that matter responses, but in terms of being engaged with respect to the jobs that we have to do. And so this is an issue for all of us. It is but it's one that we must have and learn to move on from. Irfan Ali, our president, epitomizes in terms of the energy vision that we have for our country, speaks to locutors, removal of and in removing obstacles, the unplanned, visionless way, but in terms of stage by stage, having an understanding of the people who we are, the questions which toward the significant and simple of one Guyana, that even now, at this time, in recognize we are at the most propitious moment in Guyana's history and in its development. We have to rise all of us at the tasks which are required to move our country forward to the better place which is deserving for the Guyana. Our government, the cabinet is about. And fits that are upon us and are with us can only be the coalition of the willingness, a coalition of the willing, a recognition of the pathway. There will be no development if we don't put ourselves in the face and link arms together in relation to our country's respect of crime and violence can only be met, can only be dealt with if we look at the information we have, if we understand our people, ourselves, if we are willing to do the jobs that we are made to do and set out to do and trained to do, we can only match and exceed the requirements to build a new future, a new country, if we work together. There will be times when we skirmish with each other, when we disagree with each other, but standing with willingness, there is always a clear and defined pathway to success of making life and ensuring peace in Guyana. the individual persons. The new building in itself will not mean willingness of those who will occupy the building, the positions, and to do the job. Physical things. It simply has to do, one, with the leadership, two, with the management, and then the operational engagement. To deflect, to calm down, and to make better the situations we have in our communities and with our people and with ourselves. And so, in making brief remarks otherwise, I want to thank President Irfan Ali, who himself today, when we had the big conflagration, determined that we will move ahead to something new here. Unfortunately, it forced upon us a capital infrastructure in an unplanned way. And it happened because there were failures at the management level, the middle management level, in respect of the people we manage, in respect of the people we have to secure. And we have to look at this particular issue and to learn from this issue. There were failures. And the failures us and tragedy on the day, there were firefighters, policemen and women in distress, trying to save stuff, government equipment, trying to save cars burning, documents burning, Magbinos. But with the high winds on the day, there was not much could be done with these old buildings and the challenge which we had on that day. So I want to the fire service, the health, all those who came here or from permanent. I remember Garnett, Mr. Nikram, Mr. Narendra, Gaya renderings to determine what may happen here going forward. I want to recommend again that we have rigorous interfacing with the engineering of this building. I hear Mr. Basu saying that he will do it in much less time. I think he has too much time. I think he's very generous in the amount of time which he has in relation to this matter. But we will work with you all here, and we are just a walkover from the Ministry of Home Affairs. And I know the Commissioner of Police has to pay very keen interest in this matter in terms of the building of the new police station edifice. Crime in Guyana, in many ways, is defined by what happens in Georgetown. Not only is Georgetown the hub for transport, for people moving, it's in some ways a congested urban environment, and also in relation to our development. What happens in relation to, not only in terms of the building, but specifically in relation to how we engage. To recommend that we at the Ministry of Home Affairs remain engaged on this issue, that the Cabinet and more particular others rely on our collective effort and engagement.
Feature address will be done by no other, His Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali. We consider him the architect of the new Guyana building. Now, the mark
They come into the police station and tell the police officers good morning, and you get a... yes, very good. Better. Now let me say how very pleased I am to at what is a simple but significant task. And I want to spend some time today, not much, just a little bit of time to put things into context, recognizing all the stakeholders we have here, including the contractor, Commissioner of Police, all our senior men and women in the Guyana Police Force, members of the Guyana, the director of CANU, yes, the director of CANU, because the organizational structure of this organization will be director of our prisons and the Guyana Police, Guyana Fire Service. Now, it's important for us to understand that security is not unintegrated or unintegrated. The reason why we have the joint services and why we refer to the joint services, because for the security architecture, for the national security architecture to function in a holistic way, in a comprehensive way, and in unison, it requires every facet of the security apparatus of the country to function in a seamless way. So the security architecture is linked to the security apparatus. The security apparatus is basically all facets of our security. I want to make this very important point because sometimes we see the development of this building, for example, in isolation of what is happening in the national security architecture and what is the aim of the national security architecture. Or to look at all the stats and see simple larceny and all of these things. That is, on security architecture is to develop a culture of safe living in the country, a culture of living in peace. And that is far different from fighting crime. Infuse in the population a new model of thinking, a new structure of thinking. Gives every single citizen an opportunity to prosper and an opportunity to enjoy of a culture of peace and prosperity. And the security are two criminals stopping the man who is speeding. But the more important task is teaching the person not to speed. It's building the system that disallow the person from speeding. It is about how do we train the mind and train the thinking process of our citizens to avoid crime. And that is one of the key components of this security architecture that we are building. Yes, 6 persons with LLB, 14 1 persons with a first degree, 87 persons who are now trained as special prosecutors, and then 92 persons diplomas from university. This tells you the story that we have this intellectual capacity and capability in the Guyana Police Force to do the type of work I've alluded to. And if I go to the Guyana Defense Force and I go to CANU, one of the new dynamics that we are experimenting on as we build out this link result-based performance to the welfare and well-being of those who are given the responsibility. When I said in 2019 going into 2020, we want our people to retire in dignity, that was a very loaded statement. Although we have made the adjustments in the Guyana Police Force, women, whether as a constable or as a commissioner, that upon your retirement, you retire in dignity based on the service that you have delivered to the country. In my mind at this moment, even a constable sometimes who serve 20 years, a sergeant who retires after serving 33 years. An end product must be in the police force. I examined some structures across. They examined the number of cases you prosecuted. They examined convictions you helped in. They examined we have gotten too accustomed to service being a numbering system. How many that is inherent in the service that you give. And that is the difference between. Now, if I'm to turn the sod, because in the Guyana police force alone, I want to give you, we are building out for the first time a Marine division asset in crime positioning. So right now we're in the process of acquiring a police force. Outside of this, we are building an air integrated with the Guyana Defense Force, because we're going to is constructing and rehabilitating right capacity of the Guyana Defense Force, but to add that includes drone capability, so to further enhance our crime fighting capability and advanced capability. So what we're doing is integrating, creating an integrated joint services in terms of this asset position. Chopper, the seacraft, ability. Of course, in the land capability, we're already investing heavily in bikes, in looking here at is our human resource asset. So what we want to do is to move as much of the services from Ivleri into this new facility that we are building here. To support the work that we are going to do in building out a world-class, state-of-the-art police. We are building a police academy to serve all of this. Prosperity must lead to the regional prosperity. This is what I meant. Building our capacity to be leaders not only in Guyana but in the region. So have youngsters joining the police academy here in Guyana and then working throughout the region. Center of all that we are doing is digitization and automation. Done through traceability. Everything will be done through traceability. The entire system that is fully automated, where people, so digitization and automation will be key components. I went on one of my usual spot check at immigration. And this did not come by accident. This came because I observed that there were two immigration officers who are processing people at an average of 20 seconds. And there was some processing at right there, we made the observation. The commissioner of police was there. We made the observation. Charge. And at an average, each passenger was processed between 2 ability. And we have to. That is why I give the example of good officers and officers who are not performing at their optimal capability. And when they don't perform at their optimal capability, the entire system is branded. That's why we have to support each other. We have to rely on each other. And we have to integrate what we do together to deliver a better service. So digitization, automation, infrastructure, service, and people. Defense Force, there too, we are focusing a lot on border consolidation, looking at our assets, our infrastructure, our people, repositioning people, building out new assets, building out new capability, enhancing our Coast Guard to effectively monitor our EEZ, bringing in a modern drone system and software, integrating our hardware and software, structure and capability that will give us more mobility. We sought for your new headquarters. We are building at Kanu the same ability to proactively work against those who try to destroy our society with drugs. The of Kanu will reflect this new approach to the work that they do. In the fire service, we are building our capability and capacity, enhancing our infrastructure, building our human resource capacity. And of course, we are now going to implement a system of accountability because we are not satisfied with we are making in the Guyana Fire Service. And I'll be very frank with you here. Not only with new fire tenders and more technologically advanced pieces of equipment, but education to the population, education in the school, education to the private sector. And importantly, we are going to build our capacity, quick response time, and then give them the capability to work in these communities. New infrastructure, the enhancement of its asset base. So all of these investments are made security architecture in place and intact to meet what would be the requirement of our country as we build into the future. To congratulate all the stakeholders, all those who work tremendously hard, our negotiators, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and of course, contractor. I'm sure that I had a talk already with the contractor, and I am very sure that this project will come in long before time, and that we will have a project that all of us to wish the Guyana Police Force in uniform great success this year, and know that we are working together. Not only we have a better national security architecture, but to ensure that all of you have a better life ahead of you. I thank you and God bless you.
Now, as we wind down to the end of the program, I'd like, along with Minister Ben and the rest of the table, over to the site